last week. We dropped her off at school, close to school. She wanted to walk the rest of the way.
But in that same interview, then said,
I was the one who took her to school in the morning. That was my partner.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear. Thoughts build up until I can't hear. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear. The thoughts build up until I can't hear. That my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Hello and a warm welcome from True Crime Rocket Science in a cold Manhattan. 13-year-old Madeline Soto went missing on February 26th, a Monday. She was last seen at 8:30 in the morning wearing a green sweatshirt, black shorts and white Crocs shoes. It was the day after her family celebrated her 13th birthday, which for many teens is a coming-of-age milestone. In some photos released of Madeline, she appears younger than she really is. This is how Madeline appeared close to the time she disappeared. The details matter, and how Madeline looked also matters. The last person to see her alive was 38-year-old Stephen Stearns, the dark-haired, black-bearded boyfriend of Jen Soto, Madeline's mother. Incidentally, Madeline's mother wasn't at her daughter's birthday party. That's already a red flag, but her boyfriend, sometimes referred to as her stepdad, another red flag was. It was also Stephen who took Madeline to school on Monday morning, another red flag, only for her not to be at school when her mother went to pick her up later that day. About a week later, Madeline's body was found 17 miles southeast of Madeline's home near Hickory Road, a similar location where Stephen was spotted apparently changing a tire, another red flag. Stephen, who'd been an unofficial prime suspect for weeks, was officially arrested and charged with Madeline's murder. This is first-degree murder in the last couple of hours. That's the narrative in a nutshell. But what inferences can we draw from this? Before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. I might actually be in that area of Florida, maybe at the beginning of May. So if you're interested in that kind of on-the-grounds coverage, please like, share, leave a comment. You can also hit the thanks button, and let's get started. So this is what a pedophile looks like, right? And pedophiles tend to have a very specific thing in mind, and because of that they have a very specific browser history, and the list goes on. There's no doubt when we're talking about something like that what is really going on. And in this case, well, never have you heard the saying, never trust a man with a beard? Ever heard that? Well, we shouldn't be too superficial in how we judge people, but in this case, it's turned out to be horribly true. At least that's how it appears. In terms of, if we compare this Madeline with another Madeline, this is what a real pedophile and a pedophile abduction looks like. You have a stranger in the home who is allowed intimate access to a young child regularly with the mother absent. That is how it happens. Stranger, where the stranger doesn't live in the home, doesn't know the child, has never met the child, is very, very rare. This person, Stephen Stearns, already has a criminal record. In his case, he faced 60 charges prior to being charged with Madeline's murder, and many of these relate to what he was doing online. These charges show the perpetrator increasingly drawn into criminal psychology, mostly due to his addiction to a certain kind of porn. You have the perpetrator not only regularly exposed to the victim, but also consuming a particular kind of pornography. And then on top of that, he works in a setting where there are young people having fun, laughing, kind of unawarely doing their thing. And in Stephen's case, he's a Disneyland cast member. What could go wrong in a situation like that? In a situation where a perpetrator is flirting and fantasizing with reality, and basically we're talking about illegal reality, eventually the temptation for those fictional fantasies to cross over into the real world just becomes too great. and he gives in to them. Of course, it's a taboo what he's doing, so after he does whatever he does, he's got to destroy the evidence, which means destroying a person's life. And that brings us to phone evidence. This was hardly a case for Sherlock Holmes. Stephen Stern's cell phone broke the case, I think, in a big way, even though he claimed that he accidentally performed a factory reset. When last did you perform a factory reset on your phone? How many factory resets have you ever performed on your phone? And when last did you perform one accidentally? Even worse, Stern's factory reset occurred on the same day Madeleine was reported missing. Now, as far as I understand, Stearns recorded what he did to Madeleine on his phone, and they were actually able to retrieve this even though the phone was reset, which just shows, I mean, this whole thing of recording what he did just shows how addled his mind had become by his addiction. Any perpetrator filming themselves committing a crime is basically one of the dumbest things a criminal can do, because it's really recording inculpatory evidence. But what it shows is to what extent Stearns was a slave to his own impulses. That brings us to intertextualities. The fabric of this case bears many similarities to the Audrey Cunningham case. Did you know that Audrey's disappearance and murder happened on February 15th, the same month, just 11 days before Madeleine? The narrative surrounding Madeleine's disappearance is the same exact scenario. An older man who is not the child's father is entrusted to take the girl to school. That then gives him a time window and an opportunity to gain the sort of access he's been dreaming about. And what does he do when that happens? The child is killed, and suddenly everyone close to the child apparently has no idea what happened. In Madeleine's case, you also seem to have the child's mother trying to cover for the prime suspect. This I find particularly repulsive. Doesn't she suspect anything? Really, does she not suspect any link in the whole chain? Another difference is Audrey was likely killed in the vehicle, whereas Madeleine may have been killed in her home. Obviously, one needs a lot more access to the evidence to be able to draw those sorts of conclusions, but superficially that is how it appears. Madeleine's backpack and laptop were found in the garbage near the home, which suggests also that the backpack and laptop weren't in the car on the way to school with Madeleine, and that Madeleine wasn't alive in the vehicle. The other thing is that the story that they told was that they first it was that they dropped Madeleine off, and as you heard in the clip in the beginning, oh no, it was actually only Stephen who dropped her off. And the whole ruse of not dropping her off at the school is, I think, to explain why no one saw her being dropped off. So I'm sure he may have driven to the area, but I don't think he did drop anyone off. Her backpack and laptop were found in the garbage near the home. I would like to know where Jen was overnight and when she left the next morning. Also, where did she work? And that then brings us to American Fabric. And I find this really interesting, the extent to which one's environment, in other words, what you see around you. You know, there's that thing in Silence of the Lambs, we covet what we see every day. Well, I think that is also applicable here. Besides Disney World, the fabric of American society in Kissimmee feels like a giant theme park. And so what is the fabric? Well, it's kind of geared to children and the sort of spirit of children and the childish spirit. Kissimmee isn't far south of Orlando, where Casey Anthony lived. I've written two books on that case. And did you know that Casey worked at Disneyland as well? You'd imagine that this sort of place kids might enjoy, right? But also, what kind of impact could that have on the adults around them? Just kids doing whatever they want to do. Just, it's kind of like Pleasureland, where Pinocchio went and grew donkey ears and a donkey tail. But so it's a kind of place where childish ideas of hedonism and could also kind of latch on to adults in that area, perhaps, and lose track of reality. What's next in this case? Well, the disturbing notion that Madeleine's mother may face charges as well. Do you think she will? Do you think she should? Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.